Welcome to this episode of Inside the Gym. I'm Chris Gilbert, your host for this episode. And today we have Zach Paul, the CEO of Rep Gym Pass. Some of you may have heard of Rep, some of you may not have, but it's really making a run out there in the industry, becoming a lot more popular. I think it's a great thing that a lot of people are going to be really interested in. So especially the community that we have, people who like to get out and hit a lot of different gyms and see what's out there. So I thought it'd be great to have Zach on, let him tell you about Rep, let him tell you about the benefits and what it can do and what it really is, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about it. So I thought we'd have him on and let him tell you the story. So thanks for coming on, Zach.
Yeah, Chris, I appreciate you having me. And God, right before you started recording, you said, don't get nervous. And I don't think that helped, but I'm excited to be on here, talk about Rep. And like you say, tell a part of it that most people don't know. And it gives me a chance to get in the mix too. You know, I'm not the athlete in this, I'm the business side of it. And so, you know, everybody doesn't see me much and hear, you know, why the company came to be and everything. And so pretty excited. So thanks for having me.
So that was actually my first question.
Okay.
So like how did this get started? Like what was your guys' thought process and like, what made you say, hey, let's start this company?
Yeah. So it might sound funny at first, but it's a mix between loving the gym and snow skiing, which might not make sense at first. But in the world of snow skiing, when I was living in Salt Lake City, there was a pass that came out called the Icon Pass. And there's been other spinoffs too, the Epic Pass, the Indy Pass. But what the Icon Pass allowed me to do in Salt Lake was go and ski at 8 different resorts. And then when I come home to Seattle, there was multiple different resorts. And wherever I go, I had a high quality place to go ski. And for me, it kind of became a sunk cost too. And that's a much higher cost sport, but same deal, gave you flexibility, gave you access to places that you wouldn't have otherwise tried. And at the same time, when I was living there, I, was deep in the world of bodybuilding and powerlifting, just absolutely love it. And would go around Salt Lake trying out new gyms. And was paying day passes, had 5 different memberships, and did not make any sense. Granted, it was all about the experience. Was what I was doing it for. I'd spend every dollar of my $12 an hour paycheck going around to these gyms. And at a certain point, it didn't make sense. I said, well, I've got the Icon Pass here, and I like going to all these gyms in Salt Lake, all these gyms when I'm traveling, all these gyms when I go home. There should be a product for this. And at the same time as all that, I really found that the gyms I like going to were those local one-of-one gyms, not just with cool equipment, the hand-selected equipment and cool looking atmosphere, but also all the intangibles you get, the super passionate owners, the cool community, and just everything you feel when you go in there. But what I also noticed for these gyms is they had almost no exposure. I mean, I'd drive around Salt Lake and I'd find gyms that didn't have a website, didn't have an Instagram, didn't have anything, what a lot of people call hidden gems in this industry. And I said, I want to create a pass for the end user that gives you the opportunity to experience all these, but also bring market share to these one-of-one local gyms, is really how Rep came about. And I think that's kind of the grand overview.
Yeah, no, that's it makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of like what you said, in some of these places are like true, like diamonds in the rough. And like, it's so hard to find them. Like, that's why we started GymInformer, for the same reason, was that like I've been reviewing locally owned gyms for 3 years, going on gym trips. Like, instead, guys go on golf trips. My best friend and I, we would go on a gym trip. And we'd pick a city and we'd try to go to all the locally owned gyms in that area for like 2 or 3 days. And we'd go to 3 or 4 gyms a day for like a couple of days. And that would be our gym trip instead of a golf trip.
Right.
And we were decent at finding gyms, but even when we got to a city, we'd be like, all right, hey, where's the gym we haven't found?
Right.
And you almost have to like be in the city to find out where that gym is that nobody knows about except the local people.
Exactly. So, I mean, you go anywhere, you type, for example, when I was in Salt Lake, I'd type gym near me, and you get Anytime, you get Planet Fitness, you get the Vassas and EOS and all the big chains, and then maybe 1 or 2 smaller names or independent names. But when I was in Salt Lake, I ended up finding over 30 within about 10 miles of my house, as far as the crow flies. And it's been the same story of rep, over the last year. It's been endless prospecting, just searching the US for every badass gym that we can find. And we're still finding more, which is the nuttiest thing. I mean, we think we've searched every corner, and then some new one comes up out of nowhere through a mutual follower or something like that. And to your point, when you're going to a city, you got to have a little local knowledge to find those.
Yeah.
And so it's been huge having some of our members give us feedback. Hey, you don't have this gym in this city or this small town in Texas or in Wyoming or Florida, whatever it may be. And if I'm a visitor going to these places, I'd hope somebody would tell me that. But that's kind of your resource and mine that we're creating for people is, hey, here's the one you should know about. Here's the one you should go to, and giving them a way to get there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's amazing the little gyms that you find out there. Not always little, but like you'll find a 15,000 square foot gym that you couldn't find on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's pretty cool. And I mean, when it comes to those gyms too, like you say, they're the coolest ones, because those owners aren't in it for marketing and business admin. They're in it because they wanted to start a really cool gym, and it shows. So.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I was at a gym outside of St. Louis that I only found because people in St. Louis told me I needed to go find it. And it had like just the total non-assuming name. It was like American Family Fitness. So I might not even have gone if I'd have seen it like on a Google search. And I get there, and it's this like pretty decent sized gym that looks like you went through a time warp and step back into the 80s. And this family had bought all brand new Flex equipment, all brand new Nautilus equipment, and it had been on the gym floor since it was brand new, perfectly maintained.
Wow.
It's like 30-year-old equipment that's like looks like it's brand new.
That's incredible.
It was crazy. Like, and you would never find that place if you didn't know it was there. And it's like, it's a bucket list type of gym. If you're like, if you're an equipment nerd, like that's a bucket list gym.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I thought this would be great, because we're both have such the same mission. I feel like let's help people find these like cool little gyms.
Right. And it's not just if you're traveling. I mean, it's cool if I was traveling to Florida tomorrow from Seattle, if I was going to Arizona, I'd want to find the coolest gym there. But also in my hometown, when I was in Salt Lake or prior to going to Salt Lake, I'd have all these gym memberships because each of them has something unique to offer. And it might be as simple as a machine I like. It might be as simple as, I just really like deadlifting at a certain gym. They've all got something unique, and it's hard to just one.
Yeah, I was rewatching our podcast episode with Nate Tello. He's an IFBB pro up in Boston. And he was telling me before he started his gym, like he would go to General Fitness for leg day, and he'd go to Impact Fitness for arm day, and he'd go to like Prime Fitness for shoulder day, you know, and then he finally just started his own gym. But to start out with, like, let's start with the members. Like, how does Rep work for people who want to sign up?
Yeah. So for people who want to sign up, there's two parts. We've got our members, but we also wanted to offer something to the members at our partnering gyms. Was such a huge question I'll get to. But for pure Rep membership, we offer 3 different pass levels. We've got a 5-day a month, a 10-day a month, and an unlimited. So that 5-day a month, we really geared towards being a supplementary pass. Whether you're in your hometown and you want to go hit legs somewhere else once a week, you want to go to a sauna once a week, you've got that 5-day a month pass to supplement your core membership. We also call it a bridge membership because we're hoping to sell it to LA Fitness members, Anytime Fitness members, to go to what a lot of our partnering gym owners call gyms you graduate to, or a real gym. I mean, if they start going there once a week, we call it a bridge because they're never going to want to go back.
Oh, yeah.
And then our 10-day a month, it's called the PR. That's for travelers, oftentimes for business. We've got traveling nurses, pilots, flight attendants, traveling sales consultants, and so on that, when they're on the road, they're the last person that wants to end up in a hotel gym or somewhere purple, and so that's our 10-day. And then the unlimited or our AMRAP pass, that's for somebody who would otherwise have 5 different memberships or who travels a lot, so on and so forth. And we've been trying to get feedback on all these pass levels saying, hey, what do people want? And we may come out with a 2-day a month, just a really small tier. If somebody wants to go work out with a buddy at a different gym every once in a blue moon. But that's for our direct user. But then for our partnering gyms, it was funny. The first 5 or 10 calls, I was just sweating every time I was on these. But they'd say, look, I mean, it sounds good. You're not charging our gym anything to be on this, and you're just paying us to send people through the doors. It's like, yeah, why not? But what do our members get out of it? They'd say, hey, we have 200, 500, or 2,000 members, and they travel, they go to different gyms. These gym owners say, I know my members have 2 or 3 other memberships. They say, what do they get if my gym is on Rep Gym Pass? So we offer 50% off to our partnering gyms members, which to me does a couple things. A, these gym owners go to their members and say, hey guys, we're on Rep Gym Pass. If you're on the road, you get the benefit of 50% off on this, which makes our 5-day a month pass about $15, pretty reasonable. But the other thing too is our revenue sharing model. I guess I'll touch on it for a second. 85% of our revenue ultimately goes back to benefiting our partnering gyms, 70% to payout, 15% that we've dedicated towards sales and marketing to try to get more people through the doors. And so if they're selling this to their members, they're ultimately seeing it right back as an add-on sale or really just as a boost to everybody's bottom line to benefit this industry. And, like I said earlier, we're really trying to shift market share to this independent space. And so this whole system was created to support that, I guess.
Yeah. And one of the things that I liked about it from a local standpoint that I was thinking about was that I run into a lot of people that really like their gym, or they'll go to their gym maybe like during the week, but on the weekend, they like to get out and hit a different gym just to change up the routine or change up the workout.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have an awesome leg gym that they work out on a regular basis and it's really good for back, but it's not an amazing chest gym. So maybe they want to go somewhere else to hit chest.
Yeah.
So I felt like that this offered a way for those members of that local gym that can't necessarily have the space to be an awesome chest gym and an awesome leg gym and an awesome back gym.
Right.
To give their members a chance to go hit chest at a gym that maybe does really focus on chest, but still keep their membership intact at that gym.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's really where we try to gear it towards a supplementary membership. And by offering 50% off, our goal is that that person keeps their membership at that gym forever, right? As their core gym. And now they have this option for flexibility. So as much for an add-on sale as it is for aiding member retention, saying if you need flexibility, if you want to go to these other gyms, I mean, for me, it'd just be one piece of equipment. Like you say, a gym that has a chest piece I really like or something that would get me to buy a whole nother membership, which made no sense at all. But this really gives the best of both worlds, saying, hey, I've got my core membership. I've got, where my community is, everything. But for when I am wanting something a little different, I can get that without giving up my membership.
Yeah, no, and I think that's super great. And then for the travelers, how many gyms are on Rep right now?
Yeah. So right now we're at about 220, which my goal all along was to get to 25. I thought it'd be the coolest thing ever to get 5 in 5 different states. And I thought we'd be absolutely killing it. But, density has been our biggest obstacle, I guess. Everybody's saying, hey, there's not a gym in my hometown yet. There's not a gym where I'm traveling, or there's just not enough gyms in my hometown or where I'm traveling. And so we're at 220 right now. Our goal is to hit at least 300 by the end of the year. And I know my initial goal was 5 in 5 states, but we're trying to have at least 5 in every state by the end of the year. So ideally, It works for everybody at that point.
Do you have an ultimate goal, or is it just keep going until you can't go anymore?
Yes and no. I mean, it's not just about numbers. We don't want just any gym anywhere. There's a certain bar of quality that we're trying to maintain. So I'm not going to say a number like 1,000. I think there's at least 300 quality gyms out there. But like I said, we're still finding new ones every single day. Or we're having some come back to us that might have said no in the first place, or might not have just seen our message in the first place. So I think 300 will give us a good amount of density and make it very usable to everybody. But I mean, I just don't know that number. And I don't want to say yes to every single gym.
Having explored a fair amount of a small amount of the country, I'm at 300 plus reviews. Yeah. I think you can get to 1,000 and still have quality gyms.
Yeah.
Like I told someone the other day, like that I'd done 300 reviews in the last 3 years. And they're like, wow, is there very many gyms left? I'm like, dude, I've barely touched the country. Like I haven't been to Florida or Texas or California or anywhere in the Midwest. Like it's crazy how many like gyms are out there. And
endless. Yeah.
The other thing I really like about this, and you kind of touched on it, was I feel like that, and I tell this to gym owners all the time, that they're like locally owned gym. The other locally owned gym in your town isn't your competition.
No.
Like, because if somebody leaves your gym and goes to their gym, they're probably going to come back, or they'll bounce back and forth, but they're not going to go back to a corporate gym. The corporate gyms are your competition.
Yeah.
And if this helps get people out of corporate gyms into locally owned gyms, like let's be all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're a small local gym, you could have been around for a while, but I mean, if you get a big box popped right next to you, it's like being a local grocer with a Walmart. I mean, it's just, how do you compete? But if you get a local gym next to a local gym, I mean, I don't know if you've heard the statistic with grocery stores, same story. If you have one grocery store next to another, it actually brings more business to both.
Right.
And so I think for us, that density play actually helps all of our partnering gyms and draws away members from the chain gyms.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about the different levels. Like, what are the price points like for like just the regular price point? And then if you actually are a member of a partnering gym?
Yeah. So the regular price points, they're different if you pay the whole year up front versus month to month. And we have probably about half and half. Some people just buy the whole year up front as if it's like, I referred to the ski pass earlier. It's like a season's pass. They're just like, bite the bullet, get it done. And now I can go to all these whenever I want. But our 5-day a month, if you're going month to month, is $45. If you buy the whole year up front, is $30 a month. Our 10-day a month is $70 month to month, or $55 if you pay the whole year up front. And then our unlimited is $150 a month, month to month, or $110 if you buy the whole year up front. Now, I know there's a lot of sticker shock to those prices. And we wanted to intentionally price it high because I don't want to just send anybody through the doors of these partnering gyms.
Right.
It's not so much based on, trying to only reach high income earners, but trying to reach people that value this more. I don't want to send, at Planet Fitness, if somebody's paying $10 for a membership, they're going to come in and disrespect it. And for me, I didn't want that risk as a business owner to hear from one of our partnering gyms, hey, somebody came in and they were a total idiot, So that's one of the reasons we've priced it high. But the other reason, I know I mentioned our revenue sharing model earlier. My goal is that I'm paying these gyms rates that they're excited about. And so far, on average, most of our gyms get paid about as much or sometimes more than their day pass, which everybody's happy with. I mean, if you're getting, especially on a 5-day a month user, if they're coming in at least once a week, that typically stacks up to be as much or more than these gyms are charging on a monthly basis, which is pretty good math if they're a part-time member. And so want to keep our rates high. We'll see how that changes over time. And I think our revenue sharing model supports lower prices as we have more users, just since we're paying our gyms from our non-users as well. It's saying, hey, we want to afford to be able to pay you the same price each time somebody comes through the door. But, it's balanced between that and accessibility. So that's where we're at right now. And then if you're a member at our partnering gyms, you get all those for half off.
Based on those rates, though, Like if somebody wanted to do, you said the unlimited's 150.
Mm-hmm.
It would make actually more sense for them to be a member of a locally owned like partner gym at 50, $60 a month.
Yep.
That's like similar, it's somewhat close to their home.
Yeah.
Especially someone who travels on a regular basis. Like I know my best friend used to travel 5 days a week or 4 days a week.
Yeah.
And he'd go to gyms all over the country. So that would actually make more sense for him to be a member of one of the gyms and get the half price. So it's actually encouraging people to be members of local gyms.
Exactly. So we're not just trying to bring another revenue stream. As great as that is, as great a rates as we're paying out, I wanted to design the system to where it also incentivizes people to join these, right? Our goal is shifting market share. And like you say, if somebody, I mean, the average gym on our pass is, like you say, about $60 a month. So if they have that, they can, I mean, if they have a core membership, they probably don't need our unlimited. But at that point, if they paid the unlimited the whole year up front, this is going to cost them $50 a month. So they're getting both for about 100 versus our price, right? Or if they get the 10-day at half off plus their $50 membership, they're going to get both for less than just rep. And so if we're bringing raw users, say from a chain gym, and they say, oh, well, shit, I'm paying $150 a month for my rep membership, or I'm paying $70 for my rep membership, and I've been going to this gym more than 10 days a month with it. Well, I'm going to be a member at that gym and I'm going to have rep for less than I was paying for just rep. So really encouraging conversion.
Yeah. And that anything we can do to like drive members to locally owned gyms, I think is going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I think once people find them, they don't turn back. And I think, you know, there's really in this industry, I'd say over the last just few years, there's a big shift to quality. And I think it has a lot to do with social media. People see the cool, you know, the Arsenal equipment, everything coming out, the Gym 80 equipment. They're like, man, that's not at my chain gym. And I think people are willing to pay a little more and go out of their way for a better experience. And so I think both GymInformer and Rep really support that transition.
Yeah. And I mean, locally owned gyms are about creating an experience.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the equipment or the atmosphere. The thing that brought me to locally owned gyms is the fact that there is a family there, and not to be cheesy, but there are people there that are going to grow to care about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nothing's going to better your fitness journey or better you getting to your fitness goals than having people who support you. Absolutely. And that community at that locally owned gym is going to be what does that for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a little easier to show up when you're not just nobody.
100%. Yeah.
Somebody knows your name, especially when they tell you haven't been there in 10 days. It might support your goals a little bit. And you know, that community, you know, the camaraderie, the sharing of knowledge, everything, especially if you're just getting into the gym. I mean, you go into a chain gym, you'll see it if you walk in, you know, the people that just started. I mean, you go to a local gym, there's people to help. And so I think that's a huge aspect. The community aspect is really what I find that our partnering gym owners value the most. Like they love their members. They're always trying to get a better experience for their members. They're taking care of their members. You don't find that at a chain gym. They say, oh, we've got this, you know, all this money for improvements. Let's go buy 10 new treadmills every single time. You know, don't ask anybody for feedback. You know, these gym owners that we work care about their members. You know, they're passionate about their business, and that's ultimately where market share belongs in my mind.
Yeah. So let's switch gears and let's talk about the actual gyms.
Yeah.
So what does it cost for a gym to sign up with Rep?
It's free. And a lot of our gym owners, they're like, what's the catch? And there's not one. Candidly, you know, like I said, we have our revenue sharing system where 70% goes back to our chain gyms, Jesus, goes back to our partnering gyms. 85%, I guess, ultimately goes back to benefiting them since we reserve 15% for our sales and marketing. So there is 15% left over for rep. We go pay our tech team, we go float our business, pay all our admin, everything. And you know, to be honest, right now we're not profitable. And for us, it's a scale play. And so I think we have the ability, but for our partnering gyms that say, what's the catch? I say, well, it's free. I'm going to pay you to send people through the doors, but I might come to them with something else. That now with our established network, with 220 gyms, with thousands of people on the app, we say, okay, what else can we offer? How else can we bring value to this community? And so soon we'll be rolling out a marketplace where it's essentially an affiliate code directory where you can go and get discounts off of any of our partnering brands, which I think is huge. If you're going to buy supplements or accessories, you're going to buy knee sleeves, you're going to buy apparel, you're going to buy equipment for your home gym, even to get any discount on that is super meaningful. And I think for those brands as well, there's a lot of value in reaching that target audience. So again, I guess that doesn't cost our partnering gyms anything either. But I shouldn't share this on the podcast, but do it anyways. We're rolling out a management software. We've tried to integrate with companies like Gym Master, with, RhinoFit and all the big guys, and they just kind of tell us we're too small. And what we want to do for our partnering gym owners is ultimately give them a consolidated platform where all the users checking in on Rep, where all their users are in one place, where they can sell their user Rep as an add-on to their membership and just track everything in one place. And so, throughout this, we've talked with all our gym owners about how they don't like this and that about their existing software. And we said, well, I mean, we've already got our own member tracking. We've already got our own point of sale system. And so we can repackage that and sell it to our partnering gyms. And so that would be the one thing that costs our partnering gyms money. But other than that, I mean, I just tell them run a badass gym and I'm going to pay you to send people to it. And that's about it. So yeah, it's kind of no risk.
So let's throw out the elephant in the room.
Yeah, let's do it.
What makes you different than ClassPass?
Yeah. Honestly, my favorite question. I mean, first and foremost, our demographic is different. I mean, ClassPass is great, but it's for a totally different consumer. And a lot of our partnering gyms had partnered with ClassPass in the past, and you just don't get people through the doors that align with your business, right? Anybody who's on ClassPass, they're looking for yoga classes, spin classes, Pilates studios. They're not looking for, a local gym where people are, slamming weights around and chalk everywhere. And they're not looking for that atmosphere. And so really, there's not much business to be had with ClassPass. It's just different. But the other thing that I felt was kind of backwards about ClassPass is the way that they pay their partnering gyms. So a lot of our partnering gyms have approached us and said, yeah, we're not interested. You guys are like ClassPass. And they offered us like $2 or $3 each time somebody came through the door. Some of them got like $4 or $5 for open gym access, but still, to me, that's criminal. It's not coming anywhere close to what these gyms are asking for. But where it's backwards to me is ClassPass is selling a pass that they hope people don't use because they make all their money on the non-user. And then the gym sees no benefit from the scale because they're just getting that little de minimis dollar amount anytime somebody walks in. And so we wanted to design this from the ground up to say, as we grow, as we have non-users, because I mean, with scale, that just happens. It's the nature of the beast. If you have 1,000 members, they're not going to be using 10 days a month, every single month on their pass. And so I said, I want our partnering gyms to benefit from all of our scale, from our non-users too. So our revenue sharing model, we take our total sales from all our passes, we split it up 70, 15, 15. Again, it's just a scale play for Rep, but that 70% immediately goes back to our partnering gyms. The 15% we say we are promising we're going to spend this on sales and marketing to get more people through the doors for you guys. And what that 70% pool is shaken out to be, again, it's I don't think I mentioned it's weighted based on how much these gyms charge otherwise. Because I mean, if I got one gym that's charging $40 a month and one gym that's charging $100, I got to figure out how to pay one more. And so it's weighted based on price, but what that's resulted in is coming pretty close or even higher than most of these gyms are getting paid for their day passes, which is a lot better math than $3 or $4 each time somebody walks through the door. And just the fact that, the whole system is geared towards putting these gyms first, I think is really what makes us different. And we've got to scale quite a bit more to really make it worthwhile for us, but I think we're doing it right. Just fundamentally.
Well, you mentioned previously, since we're on the gym, that you don't want just every gym. You want the good gyms. Like,
Yeah.
do you have a like loose in your mind like qualification for a gym to be a part of rep, or like would a 2,000 square foot like powerlifting gym in Clinton, Arkansas qualify for rep?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just a matter of if our members would be excited to walk in there. And our members, like I said, our difference between us and ClassPass is our demographic. We hit bodybuilders, powerlifters, strongman athletes, or, just the general passionate weightlifter, I guess, for lack of better terms. But if I see a gym on Instagram, or if I see a Google review of a gym and they've got equipment, or just I mean, it's all intangible for the most part. If I see one and I'm like, yeah, that one rocks. Like that one's got to be a part of the network, is really about the bar that qualifies them. And I mean, that just kind of, it's hard to put a number to it. But I mean, if I see a certain cool piece of equipment, if I see just an atmosphere that looks like, hey, if I'm on the road, I'm going to be much more excited to go here than, the hotel at the Hilton or wherever I'm at, or the Planet Fitness down the road, then they qualify. And oftentimes it comes down to the intangibles. I'll talk to the owners. They're fired up about what they're doing. They're excited about their story. They're excited about their members. And, every single one of our gyms looks different. But as long as they, really deliver an experience is what we're after. So size does not matter. If they're 1,500 square feet, but, they've got a really cool atmosphere, they've got a good place to go get, a solid workout in, then that's about all there is to it. But it's hard to put a number to it, or really say where the cutoff is.
Yeah, and I totally get that. Like, people have attempted to get me to quantify atmosphere. And you can't quantify atmosphere. You walk into a gym and you feel the atmosphere, and you see what the gym owners have done to the gym to amp up the atmosphere.
Right.
And you feel it. You can't quantify it, like, just on paper.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I love hearing you say that like size doesn't matter, because that's one of the things that we've always at GymInformer been very like proud of, is the fact that like we'll go to that 2,000 square foot gym in Clinton, Arkansas, that the owners opened because there wasn't a gym within 45 minutes of their hometown.
Wow.
Or, we'll also go to the 40,000 square foot gym in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
So like we love hitting like those little tiny gyms and those big ass gyms and all in between. And like they both bring something to the table that's different, and they both bring value and quality, and people should know they both exist.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell right when you walk through the door, if a gym's got a story behind it. You can tell if there's been intention put into it. You can tell if the owner is passionate. First and foremost, if they're there, I think is a pretty clear indicator. But I mean, you can tell within 5 seconds. And for us, that's kind of the barometer, is like, yes or no, I'd be excited to walk in here and get a workout in, or yes and no, this atmosphere supports me, going in and going as hard as I want. And I think it's just as quick to tell if it doesn't make the cut. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a locally owned gym that the owner built in 1980 and hasn't done anything to since. And you feel like you're going to get hepatitis when you walk in there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One of the athletes, Debo, walked into one when he was on the road, and we were super excited about prospecting and everything. And he walked in and he gave me a call. He's just like, no. He's like, no, I feel like I'm going to catch something in here. He's like, we can't have this on the network. And so, yeah, no, you can tell pretty quick.
Yeah. And that's one of the things with, like, I always try to be positive when I go to gyms, and you can always find some positive.
Absolutely.
But I always also try to be honest, because I've been to gyms that just weren't getting it done.
Yeah.
And like I was in a gym in West Virginia. We won't mention it, but I felt like their signage and atmosphere felt more like I was in like a kid's daycare center instead of a gym. And they had some really cool old school Cybex and Nautilus and like really badass old school pieces.
Yeah.
Every pad in that gym needed to be replaced or repaired, or they just weren't taking care of anything. And I'm just like, yeah, no, like this could be an amazing place, but right now it's really not.
Yeah. And I think, even ones that look cool, there's one in Seattle and there was one in the Pacific Northwest that I walked into. It's got cool pictures, everything, and, really big on marketing, really big on, the whole look.
Mm-hmm.
But I walked in there and I just kind of felt like I couldn't breathe. Like I felt like, as soon as I used something, I had to wipe it down and kind of freak out and, be as quiet as I could and keep to myself. And the atmosphere itself, you could tell it just wasn't somebody that built it with much intention, I guess.
Yeah. No, we were at a gym in Long Island when we first started doing reviews that like you could not have gotten cleaner.
Yeah.
Like this was the cleanest gym I've ever been in.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere in there made me afraid to actually work out.
Exactly.
And I didn't want to break sweat. because I'm like, I don't want to get sweat on here. Somebody's going to say something to me.
Yeah. And so that's kind of a bar of quality that's also hard to measure. And, I'm glad a lot of us are going into these gyms, trying them out and, getting a feel for, is somebody who buys Rep, are they going to walk in and enjoy it? And that's really where the barometer is. And, I walked out of there and I'm like, I want my day pass money back. I didn't have a good time. And, and so there's so many intangibles that come into play, but I think are so important to measure as far as what we're offering.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah. And I think it's great that you're trying to be inclusive, but you also like have set a bar. Like we want to promote all locally owned gyms, but we want to promote all those locally owned gyms that deserve to be promoted.
Exactly.
Like, if you're not actually embracing the idea of helping the community and building the community and like helping the people who come into your gym, you just put some equipment on the floor and you're sitting back trying to collect a paycheck.
Yeah.
That's not somebody we need to promote and help. Because I think that's someone, and I think you'll agree, that's someone who doesn't get the essence of being a locally owned gym owner.
Exactly. It might all look pretty, but yeah, there's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I say all the time that there are gym owners and there are business owners that own gyms.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can 100% tell the difference.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I didn't have any other questions. I think that was a pretty good synopsis of like what Rep is. Is there anything else that you wanted to tell anyone that we didn't cover? Or
yeah, I mean, like I said, our biggest challenge has just been more locations, more value to the end user. And, I hope gym owners listen to this podcast that may not be on Rep and they say, oh, they've really got our best interest. This business is structured to put the partnering gyms first and it's free. There's no risk to joining. And, I hope that sentiment gets across. And then for the end user, like I said, we're trying to connect with all our users saying, where do you want to see new gyms? Which new gyms do you want to see? Our team is super responsive in our DMs and our emails. We want to hear from our users. We want to hear from our partnering gyms feedback to make this better, because that's ultimately who it's all about. It's about our end user, them having a great experience. It's about our partnering gyms feeling like they're getting value out of it. And yeah, I mean, we're just trying our best to grow like crazy. We've got a long ways to go. Like you say, we're probably going to hit 1,000 in the US before we even slow down. But, it's just one at a time. I think, I had multiple people reach out to me saying, oh, you should try this AI software, all this prospecting software, all this lead generation software. And I'm like, no, I'm the lead generator. My business partner is the lead generator. And our sales team, it's all got to be human to human. Just like locally owned gyms work, our business needs to be personal. And so we're going to keep doing our best, but more feedback, the better. And, just more alignment with all these gym owners out there for them to know, hey, we've got their best interest. We're trying to shift market share to them. And our business is really built to make everybody win, whether it's the end user getting more locations or our gym owners getting paid out more and more as our system grows. I think it's a win for everybody. So that's ultimately what I'd want to get across. And like I said, my face hasn't been in the mix. I'll admit I'm not the athlete in this business, and I don't try to be. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on. And
well, I also wanted to say before we, on that note, prior to having Zach on, him and I had multiple conversations about what Rep was doing. We've probably been talking about Rep for about 6 months.
Yeah, at least.
Before having him on the podcast, because I wasn't about to like bring something to you guys as gym owners or you guys as our local gym community that I didn't believe in. And Zach and I had multiple conversations. We went back and forth and he answered all of my questions. I called multiple gym owners who are already partnering gyms with Rep, got no negative feedback whatsoever. And these are highly respected gym owners in the community. So at that point I was like, yep, let's have Zach on. Let's do what we can to help this thing grow. And if Hope you don't mind me saying that we are working on some sort of a partnership to try to align the goal or align GymInformer with Rep, and we're working together because we both have the same goals. And you may see some Rep stuff on our website. You may see some of our stuff on their website. So we're not the same company. We're 100% different companies, but we have the same goal. So we're going to try to work together to kind of accomplish that goal together.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of great people in this space that recognize, all these resources in the community that so many people aren't exposed to, that are so great that they need to be exposed to and they need to experience. And I think that's what Rep offers. That's what GymInformer offers. I think ultimately we're just trying to do good. And so 100%. Working together, we're not stepping on each other's toes. It's totally different businesses, but
no, totally different, but we have the same goal.
Absolutely.
Like the goal is just to help people find these badass gyms.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't mean to drag on this process, or this podcast, but I know you had quite the fitness journey, and that's what really sent you into this. And I'm sure all your experiences that you look back on that you're excited about were at a locally owned gym. And that's same with me. I'd mention I'm not the athlete. I'd been injured too many times to really go as hard as I want in the gym anymore, but I'm still so passionate about this industry and about what all these gym owners are doing and about the experiences that they're creating, and really want other people to have that experience. And so, I think we're both on a great mission. I think we're putting something awesome out there. And like I said, I just want these gym owners to know we got their best interest, is ultimately what I want to walk away from this with.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's why we had you on, because I really felt like you did have their best interest at heart. So thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. And hopefully this will just be the beginning.
Awesome. All right, Chris, I appreciate you having me on. Have a good one.
You too. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more great content.